Cricket is my passion and I cannot avoid it.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Cricket Unplugged with Sajan. Today, I have one of South Africa's finest persons. Not only a good player, but I repeat, finest persons. One of the good blokes on the cricketing field. He was known for his classy shots, especially his square cuts, his use of wrist, and its athletic fielding. Let's welcome none other than JP Duminy. Hello, JP. How are you doing?
Anis, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I can't complain, JP. Dubai has been good. What about your place?
Yeah, we're getting there, man. It's been a tough road over the last 5 months. We've been on lockdown for 5 months, as I said there, and we have come down in terms of the restrictions, but the numbers are still quite high. The recovery rate, surprisingly, has been very good. I think we're sitting at about 80% in terms of recovery rate, so that's a good sign. But yeah, the numbers are still there. I think we sort of over 600,000 now in terms of positive cases. But as I said, the recovery rate is good, so we've got some good signs coming now for the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so how are you keeping yourself fit in this pandemic?
Man, it's been a struggle. I must be honest with you. I think everybody kind of started the lockdown very optimistic, many workout routines, but then it just, you get lazy and you lose interest. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I think if I'm training once a week, that's a lot at the moment. So I need to get my butt into gear.
All right. You see, JP, I would first like to talk about your test career, where you started with a bang in your first test match against Australia, where you scored a very important 50 when you guys were chasing around 400 at Perth. Tell us something about your debut test innings.
Yeah, so it's a very unique one in that I was traveling with the test team for about, I think, 18 months before I actually started. And how I actually started was on the back of an injury to Ashwell Prince the day before. So we had gone on an Australian tour and we played a couple of warm-up games. So we were probably there for about 2-3 weeks already, leading up to the first test. And the day before, the last practice before our first test, he got hit on the thumb by Makai Antini, which cracked his finger, and then that's pretty much how I got my first test cap. And the unique thing about that is I actually only found out that I was playing an hour before the start of play. So they went through all the protocols of trying to get Ashwell up and ready. Even the night before, I wasn't assured that I was playing because they still needed to give him enough recovery time. And they gave him I think a cortisone injection the next morning to see if he can use his thumb. But then unfortunately it didn't work out. And so just about an hour before the start of play, the captain came to me and told me that I was in for the first test. So it was quite a nervy one in that, leading up to a test match, the ideal preparation you want is to know that you're playing so that you can get your mental space right. But unfortunately, it was kind of sprung up upon me, which is not actually a bad thing. So I didn't have a lot of time to actually think about it too much. And, when you have a lot of time, sometimes it can be a negative space where you actually overthink it and you actually play the game before the game actually starts. So I was kind of thrown in the deep end in a way, but it worked out pretty well. As you said, they're 50 not out in the first game. And that set up a pretty remarkable series, not only in test, but all-round tour as well.
You followed up with a magnificent 115 Melbourne.
Yeah.
Good memories about that innings?
Man, that is definitely one of my highlights of my career. Again, it was one of those situations where going into the preparation of the second test, again, I wasn't sure where I was playing because I just thought I'll play the first test and, second test, I'm probably going to be left out again, Ashwell coming back in. But unfortunately, the injury was a bit more severe than we thought. So I ended up playing the entire series. And I guess the reality for me around that second test was we were on the back foot in our first innings where we were 5 down pretty early. And for me, it was just trying to be as positive as I could be. I was very young then, so I was, for me, it was just playing my natural game. I didn't really think about it too much. And up until that time, as I said, I was traveling with the team for quite a long period. So I had a lot of sort of mental preparation, being part of the squad, what it takes, speaking to guys and understanding how they go about their game. So that was good preparation for me. And then, as you said, there just an absolutely remarkable second test. 166, a record breaking partnership with Dale Steyn. I mean, he played it superbly well as well. I think he got about 70, and then had a partnership with Paul Harris as well as Mackay and Tini. So I was very, very chuffed. And that was obviously the remarkable history-made test tour where we beat Australia for the first time in their own conditions. So that was definitely a remarkable tour for all of us.
In fact, you probably could have saved the third test match. I remember Graham Smith coming on to bat with an injured arm. That was the same series, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that was the same series. So he got hit by Mitchell Johnson in that first test. The first innings of the third test. So he broke his, I think his sort of hand, this part of his hand here. So yeah, I think we were a couple of overs out from drawing the series or during that game. So yeah, he strapped them on and, did something remarkable for the team. And he's obviously been renowned for his character and his leadership style and his leadership skills and his mental strength. So that was definitely a remarkable moment in his career.
You mentioned it was the first time South Africa beat Australia in Australia. In fact, very few teams beat Australia in Australia, but you guys seem to love Australia when you tour there, and most of the times you end up winning.
Yeah, I mean, that was the start of it, and we went back on two more occasions, which we won, 2012 and 2016. So 2012, I was on that tour, but that was where I got the horrific Achilles tendon injury, so I actually missed the entire series. So I snapped my Achilles on the day one of the first test, I think. So I missed that tour, but again, another remarkable tour. On the brink of losing the second test match, Faf du Plessis on his debut, playing such a remarkable innings. And then in the third test, we dominated in Perth. And that was, in the first tour in 2008, that was where we beat them in the first test. So it was great to go back there and do that again. And then third time around 2016, again, Perth was such a remarkable place for us to play. I got another test century there in 2016 against Australia. So I've certainly got fond memories, personally and as a team.
So I can say for sure that JP loved to play against Australia, and it got the best out of him.
Yeah, it certainly did. It will definitely go down in my career as one of my fondest moments, being able to perform at that elite level against one of the best cricketing nations in the world, not only in Australia, but also in South Africa as well. So I'm pretty chuffed with that. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to go down as one of my best memories.
So how was it, Ashwell Prince? Did you take him out for a drink, or what was it that unfortunately his injury and you got a chance and you grabbed it with both hands?
Yeah, up until that point, I mean, Ashwell was a mentor for me, particularly in domestic cricket. So we played for the same domestic side here in Cape Town. And when I joined the Western Province side, he very much took me under his wing. He was in the prime of his career at the time, and so the way things unfolded, it was quite unique in a way that I kind of replaced him. But I must say, what was unique about him, he was always a team man. In that the morning of that first test, even though the decision had not been made yet, he actually sent me a message, I think about 6:30 in that morning, just saying that he doubts whether he's going to be fit. And he just wanted to wish me well, know that I prepared well and I'm good enough for this opportunity and I must take it with both hands. So that definitely, just indicates the remarkable person that he is.
Fantastic. That's, very few players give such best wishes when they lose out on a place and the other person grabs it with both hands. Well done, JP, on
Yeah.
the test part. You also
Yep.
had one memorable innings against Sri Lanka in one of the test matches in Gaul, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
playing in
Yeah.
that
So
spinning conditions.
that was an interesting one because I actually ended up batting at 8 in that game. So just a bit of context, right? So I was down to bat at 7. So what we did, we structured our team and tried to go batting heavy. So we played 7 out and out batters. So I was the 7th batter. So because of the spinning conditions, I offered the second choice spinning option. So we went along with that. And because day one, I was sort of batting at 7, and it came down to the last hour of the game. A night watchman went in, and that meant that I was pushed down to number 8. So that was quite an interesting thing where a number 8 batter ended up scoring a test 100 in goal. But man, it was a really fulfilling experience for me because going to Sri Lanka again, that was a tour where South Africa had not been successful before. We've always gone to Sri Lanka, and we were dominated in those conditions, and we had prepared very well for that tour. We had understood that we were going to be facing a lot of spin. Rangana Heras was in the prime of his career, and he was doing exceptionally well for Sri Lanka. But for some reason, we just really, really played well. We clicked in terms of our game plans and how we went about it. So, in terms of my preparation, I knew that I was going to be facing a lot of spin. And I went out there with an attitude of being aggressive and taking them on, playing sweeps, reverse sweeps. And it came off. And that was, again, another history-made moment for us as the Proteas side where, we ended up winning that series 1-0 against them. And that was, again, going down as one of those series that was definitely going to be stuck in our history books. So it was very good.
So most of your hundreds which you've scored for South Africa in the red ball cricket has led to South Africa either winning the series or winning the test match. So it definitely must be very satisfying.
It certainly is. I mean, one cannot comprehend the fulfilling feeling and sensation of a test 100. I mean, I've only managed to get 6, but I think each one, it was a highlight on its own, because you understand the hard work and sacrifice that goes into a test 100. I mean, that's a true test of character, true test of ability, and also the trying conditions that you found yourself in. That was something that I really enjoyed in terms of looking back on what I achieved in test cricket. I mean, the numbers don't necessarily break the record books. I mean, if you think of my average at the end of my test career, 32, I mean, one would question whether I really fulfilled my ability. But in saying that, the highlights of that career itself, or test career, I'm really grateful for those opportunities for sure.
Since you brought up the topic about JP not fulfilling like the class which he showed in the start, you feel JP missed out?
Yeah, I think I did miss out on really fulfilling the expectation and almost responsibility around the opportunity that I got. And I think the beauty that the way I reflect upon that is not out of regret. I mean, there's certainly no regrets. I think it's more seen as maybe a missed opportunity, but what I think it allows is for me to speak to up and coming cricketers about that experience, so that they maybe don't go through the same, run down the same avenue. So I think there's a twofold to that. Yes, there's a little bit of disappointment, but also I think there's an opportunity to really use it as a positive encouragement to the next generation. And again, for me, it's not necessarily just about the stats. It's about the experience. It's about the opportunity you got. For me to end up playing 46 tests for South Africa, if you had asked me as a 10-year-old kid and you got thrown this opportunity, I would have grabbed it. You know what I mean? And the friendships that you've made within cricket, the memories that you have within cricket, and it's not only a personal reflection. It is about being part of history within your country and your cricket in your country, and having opportunities to tour so many places and experience different cultures, experience different people. Those are the things that I hold on to. So it's definitely a twofold thing.
Very well said, JP. You have also begun an academy or a charity association called JP21. Tell us more about it to our listeners.
So it's called the JP21 Foundation. We started 5 years ago. And essentially what we do, we provide cricketing opportunities for young kids in the community that I grew up in. So it's a disadvantaged community where there's a lot of gangsterism, a lot of alcohol abuse, drug abuse. And when you grow up in communities like that, opportunities don't come very easy. So it's important to have good role models. It's important to have good people that are leading you in the right direction. And I've certainly seen my career as one where I'm seen as a role model. So what am I going to do with that credibility to add value to other people? And I think that was the main driver behind it. My dad was somebody that always inspired me and encouraged me to give back to people, particularly from a privileged position. And I was afforded great opportunities. So how can I use that to afford other people opportunities as well? So we run primary school cricket within the Mitchells Plain and Strumfontein area, which is the community, as I said, that I grew up in. So we operate with over 2,000 kids a week. We are involved in 38 primary schools. And for me, it is all about creating opportunities, providing a change of mindset for these kids to know that what they see in front of them doesn't have to be reality, that they have choices, that their choices are important in terms of their future. So we're not just giving them opportunities to play the game. We're using cricket as a vehicle to change a mindset, to provide opportunities elsewhere for them as well. So it's been a great journey for us. 5 years, as I said, and we've got some amazing success stories. We've got a bursary program, we've got a Winternet program, we've got a life skills program. And we're constantly looking for unique and creative ways to raise funds, because as you can imagine, to run an operation like this, it costs a lot of money, but it's important for us to see the success out of it. So it's been good.
I'm sure it must be also satisfying, because if somebody comes out from that foundation or from that academy and goes on to represent South Africa and do well, that's more satisfying. As you said, you share your experience, but what went wrong or what you did wrong, and part that experience to these youngsters.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that'll be a great success story for us. And if we are in a position to achieve that, that's great. Ultimately, that's not the only end goal for us. I mean, that's a nice to have, if I can put it that way. But for us, it is purely just being an inspiration and an encouragement to the youth of our country, and particularly in this community for now. I think if you look at our youth and our next generation on a whole, they are not necessarily inspired and encouraged the right way, because they see flashy cars, they see nice clothes, they see that as a success story, particularly in these communities. So they're constantly looking for the quickest way to get that. So for us, it's about imparting knowledge and teaching them what hard work and sacrifice looks like. What does it look like to go on and study? What does it look like to put in the hard work to be a successful sportsman one day? We need to teach these kids that it's not about the easy road. It's about the hard road that is going to reap consistent and long rewards towards the end of the journey that you undertake. So those are the kind of principles and values we try to share with them, and hopefully it makes an impact in their lives so that they understand that they have choices.
That's why I introduce you, JP, as one of the nicest person we have played this game.
Thanks.
Very few people do this after cricket for the youngsters. So keep up the good work, JP.
Thanks, Anis. Appreciate that.
Coming to your ODI stats, or rather your ODI journey. You started in 2004 and it was not such a good start. But when did you feel that you were there in the international cricket to play the white ball cricket?
Yeah, as you said there, it wasn't my best start. it was an interesting process for me where 2004 was when I made my debut. I was only 20 years old, so I was a very young kid. You know, still trying to understand and discover what does my game look like? How do I play this game? So as I said, it didn't necessarily go well. But I think what the beauty of that opportunity presented for me was, thanks, buddy. I'll be with you now, Rafa. What it presented for me was an opportunity to really understand what it means and what it looks like to play for South Africa. And being left out then for 3 years gave me an opportunity to understand, right, that is the goal, that is the requirements, that is the standard. And if I'm not meeting that, I need to come back to domestic cricket and understand that there's certain things that need to change. There's harder work and sacrifice that needs to go in for me to go back. And I think that was certainly the great process that I got to experience. Was I got a taste of it early so that I could come back to remodel and change a few things to go back up to sustain a career. And as I said, in 2004, then in late 2006, 2007, I got another recall to ODI cricket, and that's when it sort of catapulted into, what is it, probably 13 years of one-day cricket. So it was good.
So JP was also a batsman, but was also very good with his off-spin bowling, and no doubt about his fielding. So you had that advantage that you were, I would say, a proper all-rounder, even though somebody said that he's a batting all-rounder. But JP could add that extra value with his bowling and definitely with his fielding.
Yeah, for me, once I understood that I had an opportunity to really make an impact in the game, not only with the bat, but elsewhere as well, it kind of opened my mind to put more effort and preparation into the bowling side of things as well as the fielding. Because, it's one thing being able to score runs, but when you don't score runs, you still have an opportunity to impact the game. So that was important for me to understand. And I was privileged to be able to work with some amazing spinning coaches as well to help me advance my game from a spinning point of view. I was often seen as the golden arm in a way, where there's a partnership happening. They throw me the ball, then somehow I manage to break the partnership. And I think sometimes why that happens is because batsmen, they kind of lose their focus when a sort of non-recognized bowler comes on. And then all of a sudden, you get that breakthrough. So, yeah, I had some great opportunities and made some impacts across all formats, actually. So that was a great experience for me.
Since we're talking about your bowling, your hat trick in the 2015 World Cup in the quarterfinals against Sri Lanka. How was that experience?
A unique one. I mean, again, if you had to ask me, you get an opportunity to take a hat trick in a World Cup, I would have told you're crazy. How do I do that? So again, that was certainly a highlight and a memory that I will hold on for the rest of my life. And, just in the manner in which we played in that game itself, being a knockout game, the way we dominated Sri Lanka in that quarterfinal. And I think on a whole, in that 2015 World Cup was probably my best experience in a World Cup. So it's definitely an all-round experience.
I was lucky enough to witness that game, and in fact, you made my job easier because the match got over because I had to take a flight to go to Melbourne to see India play Bangladesh the next day. But next match, which was the semi-final, I know it was a heartbreaking semi-finals against South Africa, rather against the Kiwis at their home ground in Auckland. I need to know about that game.
Man, it was one of the best games that I've been part of, honestly. To hear the deafening noise of, the Auckland Stadium. I mean, we know that it's a rugby stadium in itself, but to experience that atmosphere was remarkable. I thought we certainly gave it our best shot. The way we competed in that game, and Grant Elliott was unfortunately just too good for us. I mean, he took that game away from us almost single-handedly towards the end. And and the unique thing, he's actually a South African as well. So I look back at that with fond memories, honestly. as I said, I look back on that as an entirety. The tour itself was really remarkable. We just gelled as a unit. And you're gonna have moments where it comes down to the wire and it doesn't go your way, and that's for me what it was. We made some crucial errors at crucial times in that semi-final that probably cost us, but ultimately we played a good game, and I believe as much as New Zealand won that game, cricket was richer for it, just in terms of how that game unfolded. So it was remarkable and great opportunity to be a part of. Really privileged to be a part of it.
I saw after that game that a few South African players were into tears. Did JP cry on that evening?
I actually didn't, and I saw myself as probably the one that consoled everybody. So I sort of took up the mantle of being that shoulder, the arm around the shoulder kind of guy, and just letting everybody know that it's going to be okay. And it's great to see the emotions come out, because it shows what it actually means to everybody. We put our heart and soul into it, blood, sweat, and tears. We gave it our all. But unfortunately, it wasn't our time to shine. But I'm still a firm believer. At some point, South Africa will get over that finish line.
In fact, that was going to be my next question, and I'm glad you've answered it. That I'm sure South Africa will cross that finishing line sooner than later.
Well, we certainly hope so. We certainly have the talent. We have the structure for it. We have the ability. Now it's just about execution and bringing your best game. So, yeah, I'm still very confident about that.
So after that test debut against Australia, where you started off remarkably, you became the poster boy of South Africa, where you won a big contract with Mumbai Indians for the IPL. Tell us about your experience with IPL and the fan following you had after it.
Yeah, my life changed. I think that's the simplest way to put it. To be seen on the international stage as one of the world beaters in cricket, that was remarkable in itself. Where you were respected all across the world, and nothing less than getting quite a substantial, lucrative contract in the IPL. And just having the opportunity to play with some of the greats in the game, Sachin Tendulkar, Jayasuriya, Zair Khan, Harbhajan Singh, you name it. Sean Pollock was the coach, and having the opportunity to play with so many greats was truly amazing. Getting coached by some amazing coaches as well, and having an opportunity to captain an IPL team, 2015 for Delhi as well. And man, those 10 years that I spent playing in IPL, I think nine years, some of my best moments in cricket, 100%. Just the friendships that you form with guys all over the globe, and when you play against them in their countries, you end up at their houses for dinner. And I don't think that would have happened necessarily without the IPL. So I think world cricket is very fortunate to have had this come into play. IPL and obviously many other T20 tournaments around the world. And I've had the privilege of playing CPL, PSL, Canada, IPL obviously. So, I mean, those tournaments in itself was just awesome to be a part of. And definitely richer for it in a friendship sense.
So what separates the IPL to the other franchise cricket apart from the money?
Yeah, I think the fan following was one thing that you spoke about. Just every stadium was packed pretty much for every game. And the way they view cricket on a whole is pretty remarkable, just the Indian community. But I think in terms of the standard of cricket, it's right up there with some of the best that I've played in. If you look at the youngsters that have come through within the IPL and in Indian cricket, I think Indian cricket is richer for it, to be honest with you. And you see how they're dominating international cricket at the moment. And I think IPL plays a big part in that, in the fact that a lot of players gain a lot of experience from players around the world, coaches around the world, gives them confidence going into the international scene. But again, most tournaments around the world are growing in stature, growing in just the impact that it's having on their country itself. So South Africa, again, as the Mzansi Super League, and you're going to see how that grows and encourages youngsters to come through and make an impact in South African cricket as well.
So what advice would you like to give to youngsters who get a good contract in IPL, and how can they keep their foot on the ground?
Yeah, humility is an important attribute to have. I'm a firm believer in that. And, you know, I believe the core values of cricket is always to serve your teammate, to serve your community, to serve your country. And if I just take international cricket as an example, there's a certain responsibility that comes with that. So even though you are earning X amount of money, whether it be from IPL or your country, I think it's important to understand that with that responsibility, people, generations in your community view you in a certain way. And what are you going to do with that credibility? Are you going to impact them in a positive way, or are you going to be self-serving as opposed to serving others? And I think that's the important thing for me that I've learned. And particularly being surrounded by good people, they've always encouraged me, no matter what success you have on the field, always have a view of serving others when you're off the field. And that for me has always stood me in good stead going forward.
Well said, JP, again. JP, I had read a few years ago about you mentioning about how you re-embraced rather Christianity and following
Right.
Jesus. So I want to tell to our beautiful viewers, they would like to know some pearls of wisdom or advice as to how it changed your life.
Yeah, so for me, you know, growing up, I always knew about God and Jesus, and I never personally had a relationship. And for me, coming to understand what that meant was important. And in 2013 was where I committed my life to Christ and to serve God, and to understand that, you know, He has a plan and a purpose for my life. And for me, it is about aligning my goals and aspirations with that. And I don't see we don't necessarily get the full clear picture, but it's a constant drive for me to when I wake up in the morning is what is His plan for my life today? You know, how can I serve Him best? How can I serve others best? And I think it's important for me to understand that, you know, when I walk into a room, I portray and I carry His light wherever I go, and that light is a resemblance of pure love. And what is it? Can I live my life being loved by God so that I can love others? And I think that's the important thing that I've really come to understand better. Doesn't matter where I am in the world, where you are in a world or a country that operates from a different faith, you know, I can still love them. It doesn't mean that they don't have the same belief as me, that I should treat them a certain way. I'm called to serve others and to treat them with the same amount of love that I would treat any other person.
I promise you, JP, all my listeners would love the show, what you have been speaking about, spoken right from your heart.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I seen on your profile picture 2 beautiful children, a very nice wife. Tell us about your family. How is it with the young kids?
Yeah, it's been beautiful. They actually my eldest is turning 5 on Sunday, and then my younger one turns 2 on the 1st of September. And it's been an amazing time where, if you think now about the pandemic and being on lockdown, you've kind of been confined to your own spaces. And, you know, if you look back on my career, I've been traveling for the last 20 years. So it's really been just enjoyable to be at home with them every single day, and to spending quality time with them. I mean, that's something that I've never had the privilege of doing for extended periods of time. So that in itself has been awesome. My wife has always been a massive supporter of me, and she makes huge amounts of sacrifice for me to have fulfilled a long and illustrious career. And, you know, they've traveled with me wherever I've gone in the last 10 years, particularly my wife. So that's been amazing. She loves traveling. She loves seeing new places and exploring the different cultures of different countries. So yeah, we do miss it a bit. We do miss the traveling. So hopefully there are more opportunities in the near future.
So what next? Now that you've announced your retirement in the 50-over format too, does JP plan to take any coaching assignment if offered?
Yeah, I'm busy on my level 3 coaching course and Gary Kirsten coaching course at the moment. So that's definitely something that I would like to pursue in the pipeline. I'm busy with a coaching app as well, which trying to put together. So that's hopefully going to be coming out in the next few months. And you know, I've also got a sort of interest in the administration side of things within cricket. So how can I add the best value to the game? I mentioned earlier about serving. You know, for me, it's about serving this game because it's been so amazing to so many, and I'm included in that. I've been hugely privileged by being part of this game, so I certainly want to serve the game as well.
Lovely. JP, we've spoken about your career. Now let me ask you some quick fire questions. It's a little funny questions, but let's see how JP can duck or manage them.
Duck or dive.
South Africa have legends of fast bowlers, but if you had to pick between Dale Steyn, Sean Pollock, or Alan Donald, one fast bowler?
Yeah, probably Dale Steyn.
South Africa was also known for producing fine captains, whether it was Graham Smith, Du Plessis, or you can say from the past, Graham Pollock. Who would be your favorite captain?
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to play or see much of Graham Pollock, so I wouldn't be able to comment. Yeah, I certainly enjoyed playing under all of them, but the one that really stood out was probably Faf du Plessis.
Okay, Virat Kohli or AB de Villiers, the better player?
Depending on the format, but I'm gonna go with AB.
For sure. In Indian food, what do you like more, butter chicken, biryani, or grilled chicken?
You lost me there. I didn't move past butter chicken. That's my favorite.
Your best test innings, when you talk about your debut innings or the Melbourne or the Sri Lankan innings or the one at Perth, which one would you take as your top innings?
Yeah, probably the one at Perth in 2016, 141. It was just an innings that really just flowed. There was no mishaps. Everything was in the middle of the bat, so definitely that one.
Did JP Duminy or sledge any time on the cricket field to an opposition player?
Nah, there wasn't. It's not my personality. So I wouldn't say that I have. I've been chirped towards. I mean, I've received chirps, but not necessarily the other way around.
I am sure that is what I knew, but I wanted my listeners to know. All right. Rugby or cricket?
Yeah, I mean, I love watching rugby, but in terms of playing rugby, I never took that up. So if I had to choose, it has to be cricket.
All right. My last question: if there had to be made a movie on JP, what would he like to become? Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, James Bond? I don't know what sort of character JP would like to play.
Wow, that's a good question. I'm gonna go with Batman. I do like his character. He serves the community sort of in the shadows, if we can call it that. So it's not necessarily about him and the publicity, but he still has the mentality of serving others.
Okay, my listeners are asking me to ask you one more question. You played for Deccan Chargers, Delhi Sunrisers, and Mumbai Indians. Had to pick one franchise as your favorite.
Yeah,
all are good.
So yeah. I mean, I've had great experience at all of them. I think the one that stands out was Delhi, and the reason why I say that is because I had the opportunity to captain. Yeah, and that was one of the highlights of my career. So I'm definitely gonna go with Delhi.
Brilliant. We had a wonderful chat, Duminy. I tell you, not because you are with me right now, but I've spoken with many cricketers, but some cricketers you connect immediately. And I would say you are one of them. I wish you the very best in the near future and all the
Thank
best
you.
for your foundation also. Go well. Lots of regards and love to your family. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Anis. You too.
Bye-bye.